We'll start our meeting. My name is Paul Jones. I'm counselor for the town of Lockwood and also a member of the Roads Trails Act Review Committee. That committee was formed early in the year by the town council and other members that are on the front council are Crystal McNutt and Brent Colburn. I believe they're here tonight. Olivia Canning, I'm not there. I didn't see Olivia, but there she is. So a few housekeeping notes, behind everyone, the main doors to the exit. In case of emergency, the Gulfwood door exit off to my right. And washrooms directly behind you through the black doors and to my right. We have a comment box at a table outside there in the entry. And if you want to leave a comment there, if you don't have a question that you want to ask tonight, don't want to put it in there, we'll get back to you. So I guess we're being streamed live on Facebook, so hopefully that goes through, so we'll have lots of public. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to share with the public the possibility of making the town of Oxford Streets ATV friendly and to hear back from you, your thoughts, concerns, and comments of this possibility. To help with tonight's meeting, we have a panel of experts. We'll have Eric Ryden, Trails Coordinator with ATVANS, which is All Terrain Vehicles Association of Nova Scotia, also known as ATVANS. Barry, is that what you call it, ATVANS?
Yep, something like that.
Okay. Barry Barnett's with us as well. He's the executive director of the association. Darren Baxter, communications coordinator with ATVANS. Also some local people, Greg Nix, president of the Cumberland Trails Association. Greg Moore, member of the Oxford Trails Association and Route 6 Snowmobile Club. Mike Hudson, vice president of Oxford Trails Association. And Boyd Moore, president of Sunrise Trails ATV Club. So without any further ado, we'll pass the mic on to Barry, and he's got a presentation for everyone. After that, we'll have a question and answer period with a panel up here. So thank you.
Okay, so my hope is that we can kind of sync this. I am actually not controlling this. I'm going to control this on my laptop. So you got this? You want to say next slide? I'll say next slide. Yeah. My name is Barry Barnett. I'm the executive director for the All Terrain Vehicle Association of Nova Scotia. ATVANS has been the organized provincial federation for ATVs for about 27 years in Nova Scotia. We have 42 clubs, and right now we're just under 7,000 active members in our association. And we have 2 clubs that will be joining us in the next 2 weeks, and 2 to 3 more clubs that are in the process of forming across the province. We have been actively meeting with municipal leaders and provincial leaders to talk about the Road Trails Act and the possibility of utilizing existing built infrastructure to make connectivities in our trails across the province for, I'm going to say 13, 14 years. In 2011, our association attended the Union of Nova Scotia Municipalities annual general meeting. We set up a booth and we started talking to municipal leaders at that time about creating a Road Trails Act or a process where we could use existing roads to make connectivity from one trail to the next, and also to access services in towns and cities. For 2 or 3 years, we attended annually at the Union of Nova Scotia Municipalities, and we spoke to municipal leaders across the province, and we were very surprised and pleased with the support that we got from municipal leaders. In fact, the Union of Nova Scotia Municipalities Small Towns Caucus passed a resolution, and I believe it was in 2013 or maybe 14, endorsing this process and helping us lobby the provincial government to make legislative changes to enable this to occur. Oh, I forgot to move to my next slide. The process was long and slow but thorough. We lobbied 3 different provincial political parties over that period of time. We got lots of positive comments back and smiles, but we really didn't get a whole lot of action. Everybody was talking about it, but nobody was really doing it. In 2018, the government at the time had announced that they would move forward with a pilot program that would enable the government to see how this would work in the streets of Nova Scotia, and roads of Nova Scotia. They had identified initially 8 sites, of which 7 were finalized. And for what we anticipated to be a 3-year pilot program, it actually ended up a little over 4, maybe 5 years. During that period of time, interestingly enough, not a single incident was recorded of a negative nature with respect to an incident involving an ATV and a motor vehicle, or an ATV and a pedestrian, or even a policing matter. So in those 7 sites that were selected as part of the pilot program, absolutely nothing negative occurred. In fact, the only thing that did occur was we had businesses that were struggling that managed to stay afloat and expand within that area. And we can point to some real examples. For those who are aware, at least in West Hants, there's a pub there called the Walton Pub, home of the Walton Whopper. They were a seasonal operation and now they're year round. And the only issue that they have now is actually requiring enough staff to accommodate the business they get as a result of the pilot program, and now the permanent placement of a road trail on the roads on Highway 215 in West Hants. A lot of the other ones involve connectivities, but some involve connections to businesses. And we can point to the District of St. Mary's. There were a couple smaller restaurants in Sherbrooke Village that absolutely took advantage of the opportunity that came along with connecting trails and being able to grow their businesses and sustain a year-round operation in small towns. We continue to lobby government to move from a pilot program to a permanent program. Last year, the province introduced a piece of legislation that would enable that to occur. And just this fall, they actually enacted the legislation, proclaimed it. And now we have a piece of legislation that enables 2 things to occur. One is for the province itself, provincially owned and maintained roads, to create road trails. And the second one is to allow municipalities like the town of Oxford to create a bylaw to enable that municipality to have a trail within their town. So that would essentially be legalizing ATV use on public roads. And in our case, in the case of the municipalities, we've got a number of municipalities that are in a variety of different steps with respect to how far they progress with this. Now, considering the legislation was only proclaimed in the fall, we've got one municipality, the town of Yarmouth, who really pushed for this, as well as actually at the time, even I believe town councils in Oxford were pushing for this initially as well. So they have a bylaw now in the town of Yarmouth, and it connects 2 specific pieces of trail, 150-kilometer trail from Digby to the town of Yarmouth, across Water Street, legal access that enables riders to access the Rod Grand Hotel, Tim Hortons, Rutter's Restaurant, and a handful of other restaurants and hotels and bed and breakfasts, and other accommodations and other businesses in the community. It connects through to the other side of Water Street and then onto another trail that runs for 150 kilometers up towards Barrington. So now where we had 2 completely disconnected trails, approximately 150 kilometers long, there's now 1 trail that runs all the way through. On Thursday, we attended a meeting hosted by the Woodlands Multi-Use Trail Association and the Shelburne ATV Club. And the club was looking for 2 things from its community. One is the support of having certain sections of road become road trails, and they would be provincially mandated roads. And then the second one is the use of an existing abandoned railway that is not authorized for motorized vehicles. 160 people showed up, the vast majority in favor, And we're hoping that that will move forward and see some further connections. So in the town of Oxford, I reached out to Linda because I knew that there had been town interest in having a road trail through the town or connecting the town. And so that's essentially why we're here today. I'm just going to go through my little slides here to see where I'm at. Couple things I want to bring to your attention. One of the things that we've been trying to do and have done as an organization is to create a positive public support around ATV safety and ATV respect. We distribute this, we call this a respect document, to all of our members and others at outdoor shows through our membership when you join, get one of these. And it's all about creating a level of respect. We tell folks that we represent the responsible OHV sector, that our hope is to have a good relationship with the communities where we ride, an opportunity for us to do business and support the communities. And in turn, they see us as the responsible riders. We don't have issues. With respect to the town, go back to the town here. The town's road trail has been in place now for several months. We've heard absolutely nothing back negative. Everything has been positive, and the town is very supportive of the program to date. We also produced a document called "What It Is and What It Isn't." One of the things that we were concerned about with the Road Trails Act is that people would misread into the piece of legislation and think that it suddenly means that you can ride on an ATV on any road anywhere. Well, you absolutely can't. You cannot ride on a 100 series highway. You can only ride on roads that are approved. You can only ride 30 minutes before daylight, 30 minutes after dark. You must have a helmet, you must have a driver's license, and you must have an ATV safety course, among other things. So, like insurance. So we're busy out there spreading the word, spreading the message, making sure people follow the rules. And we're meeting with towns and municipalities across the province, showing them an opportunity that exists that would enable them to be able to improve their town for the residents, but also make an opportunity for our riders to come in and spend some of our hard-earned dollars at local businesses in town of Oxford. The people often ask what the value is with respect to ATV riding in the province of Nova Scotia. We've done 2 economic impact analysis, or should I say direct spending analysis. We asked our members and others to fill out a detailed survey to determine exactly how much money is spent in the economy of Nova Scotia on ATVs. And in 2022, the most recent analysis, we were able to determine that $664 million was spent by off-highway vehicle riders in Nova Scotia. That's $500 million. This isn't one of those studies where you take a dollar and you multiply it by 7. We just simply asked, how much do you spend in the economy? And we broke it down into things like repairs, trailers, food, lodging, fuel, and also taxes, and registration, that kind of stuff. And we were somewhat surprised. We knew it was impressive, and we knew from the previous study that was going to be a lot. Right now, there are roughly 52,000 registered off-highway vehicles in our province, so it's a big sport. They tell people that if you think about an ATV like you do a car, nearly every ATV has access to at least 2 riders. And that would mean approximately 1 in 10 Nova Scotians either own or have direct access to an ATV. So there's a lot of people participating in our sport. We're likely one of the biggest sports in the province. We did do a number of breakdowns. I'm going to go right past this one because it's very technical and doesn't really make much of a difference at this point. I also want to talk about our local clubs. So we have a number of local clubs in the area. Cobgood OHV Club. We've got the Blue Scout ATV Trail Riders. They were formerly known as Colchester 5 Islands ATV Club. They just recently changed their name. Sunrise ATV Club. and Cumberland County Riders in Amherst. Just so that you're aware, the Coquitlam HD Club is currently taking a year off while they try to recruit some additional volunteers. And in addition to our clubs in our organization, there are a number of snowmobile clubs in the area as well. And often there's a big crossover between the snowmobile club members and the ATV club members. And we've worked relatively closely with the Snowmobile Association and have created some pretty good partnerships around the province, building and developing and maintaining trails. We know that a province our size, 1 million people, with we've got 11,000 kilometers of trail. We can't do it as one organization. We have to do it supporting the other trail users. One of the questions that came up at the meeting on Thursday in Shelburne was, when you're building these trails, are you excluding walkers? And the fact is that our association has prided ourselves in every trail that we built. Everywhere we go, we share. And so we're a multi-use trail organization as much as we are an ATV organization. So we really think that's the only way we can actually have a sustained trail network in the province of Nova Scotia with just 1 million people and such a wide, vast area. So, let's see what else we got here. So, as I said earlier, the Road Trails Act helps us create a connected trail network across the province. You guys have some amazing infrastructure out here, some of which, and much of which was built by hardworking volunteers who put in a big effort. There's a great bridge out there with a brand spanking new paint job, and an underpass that came kind of as a result of the shared road or shared trails stuff. When we were first lobbying for this, we managed to find a really supportive Deputy Minister of Transportation and Public Works who did 3 things for us at one meeting. He he gave us a direction forward or a path forward for the Road Trails Act, which was awesome. Announced it in Bedeck. At the same time, announced an overpass in Bedeck that enables ATVs and snowmobiles to go across the Hunter Straits Highway. That's just an amazing piece of infrastructure. And also said, and while we're at it, we'll build a tunnel that enables connection in Oxford from one side of the highway to the other. So, you know, that's the kind of partnerships that we're so thankful for and grateful for. And, you know, we've seen them around the province, and more so in the last 10 years than I think in the first 25. So we will continue to need and support municipalities, help us move the Road Trails Act forward through and in their towns so they can take advantage of it, and we can as well. That's about it. Do I take questions now, or do you want me to wait?
We're gonna lift the screen and bring the panel in.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. The gentleman that I mentioned before, who's come out there and said at the end of here, was a real heat unit.
Oh. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
What's up? Made a journey up there.
So just to go to everybody's name, we'll start at my current right, and if you just mention your name and the organization you're with, and then you'll start a question.
Sure. And my name is Darren Baxter. I'm the communications coordinator with ATVANS.
Boyd Moore, I'm the president of Sunrise Trails ATV Club at Pugwash.
I'm Mike Hudson, I'm the VP of the Oxford Trails Association.
I'm Greg Nix, president of Cumberland Trails and president of the Route 6 Snowmobile Club, and board member of the Oxford Narrow Trails Association.
Eric Ryder for Trails Coordinator for ATVANS.
And I'm here running up, it's just.
So, if there's any questions, we'd be pleased to try to answer.
Probably to you, Barry. Yeah. Rumors abound, and do you know anything about any changes coming to reciprocity agreements with Quad New Brunswick or anything?
So we have been informed that the government of Brunswick is re-examining how that occurred and what should happen. So without knowing the outcome of a meeting that's coming up shortly, we'll likely end up with some kind of agreement that would require us to actually display the Brunswick sticker on a Nova Scotia machine. There will be a slight charge for it, but the same kind of agreement is going to be in place. But we have to figure out the process on how to distribute stickers to our members who want to travel in New Brunswick and how much we would charge for it. So the current thinking is it'll be like a $10 or $15 surcharge over and above the Nova Scotia sticker, and then add that on top, and it would be the same for. No, there'll be no additional change. PEI has no issue with this.
And so, it'd be the same for anybody coming from New Brunswick into Nova Scotia, is that a drop process?
No, actually, we won't require that.
Okay.
We don't see that as an issue. New Brunswick, provincial government is really concerned about how they can track tourism numbers. We don't seem to have that much of an interest in Nova Scotia tourism for our sport, unfortunately. They're not interested in knowing how many riders from New Brunswick come to our area. But, so at this point, we don't see any need for that.
Just wondering if the associations are doing anything, or should they be? Some of these incidents we see on television, the other night, was an incident on there where a cemetery had been tore all to pieces by a number of ATV drivers. Should we be proactively condemning these, or is there anything we should do, or is it simply a police matter?
Yeah, no, we actually, I reached out to the local club at 6:15 last night after I saw the news article, and the club itself is managing that. They understand that it relates to two individuals, 11-year-old and 14-year-old, and it's not necessarily just related to that cemetery. It's also a ball field, and the club is going to manage that, and we've indicated to them that if they need our support, we'll be there for them. And also said that if there's some access to emergency funding that's required, we would also be interested in seeing who support that as well. So in my 14 years? 14 years? A lot. 14 years of that, I've had two of these incidents, both involving cemeteries, and both involving very young people doing irresponsible things. And it really hurts us because as an organization, we go out there and we talk about doing the right thing and being responsible and respecting our trails, respecting neighbors and landowners. And then these kinds of things step us back a little bit. But I will say this, that the Marconi ATV Trail Club is on it. They've already met with the municipal councillor, and they're already working to rectify some of those things, even though it's got nothing to do with the club itself. The individuals were not members, and they're semi-notorious in their community of dominions.
If this possible bylaw that I'm looking at passing, Cumberland County does not have a lot of HDAS trails as for that. Now, with that being said, if this comes to real, that can be required to have a trail pass use the passes through on.
Well, you also have to leave a trail pass. No, you won't be required to have a trail pass through Oxford. You will be required to have a trail pass wherever you ride on lands where we have land use agreements or in wilderness protected areas where they're required. So nothing will change from that perspective. But in this area, we do have a fair number of trails. And we have land use agreements with large landowners like Irving and Wagner Forest Products. And we continue to work with other private landowners to put in place land use agreements. And it isn't about creating two classes of riders. It's about securing permission and maintaining permission so that we don't lose trails. In Nova Scotia, there are two types of trails for ATVs. There's established trails and then there's managed trails. The established trails are all those trails that existed before 2006, where somebody said you couldn't ride, but they can stop tomorrow. Of the 11,000 kilometers of trails, 9,000 are established, roughly. And those trails are always at risk until you get a land use agreement and secure it and ensure that riders can continue to ride on it. The other 2,000 kilometers of trail, there are trails that are hard fought and worked and relationships are built. Landowners trust us, and we go out there and build and maintain trails and help create a network that we're not going to lose.
My name is Glenn Patrick. I'm a resident there. Also an ATV. Short, there is 12,000 my butt. And the majority of people in this town don't own ATVs. And look around, there's a lot of people in this town in here and I think the fairest way for to have policy on. Now, instead of like to come out here and fall, maybe it should be on the dock. Because I think it's the fairest way to accommodate ATV on. Yeah, I could benefit me, I could ride my bike trail, most of us own ATVs, we've got trucks, we've got trailers, and ATVs, and we got energy, we all what they have. You talked about the economic benefits. Some of these businesses now will never benefit for ATVs who drive through this town. Nobody's gonna bring their dog and have a groom here around the toilet. Or gonna take it over to the chicken. Wait, Jim. So the very good benefit is gonna be on the end of town between the electric cord and the transkin of the highway. So it's not gonna benefit everybody. But it's a pretty major decision, and I think taxpayer and the rest of the city of Bar should get a vote on. In my opinion, another thing is, how are you gonna police? We hardly see the RT cleaning down here now. So, what's your thoughts on that?
So I won't talk about the plebiscite or how the town decides to move forward, because that's not really my business anymore. I used to be an elected politician, but I will say this, that as far as policing goes, the Road Trails Act is actually policed two different ways. One, obviously by the RCMP, and the second one by the Department of Natural Resources and Renewable on their OHV enforcement officers. And we as an organization have repeatedly worked with those two organizations to try to enhance policing of our trails and make sure folks follow the rules, because we believe in and support safe, responsible use of ATVs. But it's completely up to the town to decide how they choose. And without getting into politics, I will say that we have a newly elected town council whose duty and mandate is to make these kinds of decisions on behalf of their constituents.
Does each town set their own bylaws for the town? And will they give, the bylaws on the police, they're kind of after?
Yeah, so
So is there anybody, UTV groups that have somebody that in the groups that can enforce these laws?
So each town does establish their own bylaws. There is sort of a template bylaw that's been established by the town of Yarmouth. But the bylaw is just the permission to use the town road. The actual law related to it is the piece of legislation that was passed and proclaimed in the fall. So the details around that piece of legislation can be found through the Province of Nova Scotia's website. And your second question was related to what again? Sorry.
Okay, my second question, does any ATV groups have anybody in the groups that can enforce the law?
Well, we're not legally able to issue summary offense tickets, but we do have a trail patrol program in ATVANS. We train our members, clubs bring forward volunteer members that It's more of an ambassador patrol program. They don't have any legal authority to pull over people or arrest people, issue a summary offense ticket. They wear yellow vests with the safety colors on. They do have the ATVANS logo on, and they report and bring back information to the clubs around trail safety, etiquette, that kind of stuff. We've trained several hundred of them in the last number of years. We are in the process of training more, and we continue to train as clubs request.
So if this passes, and go straight to totally, who determines which roads get used as trails? Will that be something the council will come up with, get voted as ATV riders?
So in the case of the Yarmouth bylaw.
Yeah.
The town of Yarmouth actually specifically decided that it would go from a certain civic address on Water Street to another civic address. So in their bylaw, they actually will be able to list whatever streets are deemed to be appropriate. So it'd be the same way. It's your town council that actually makes those decisions.
Is there already a forecast for Saturday?
So already one.
There already a group that's being planned right now for town or?
Nothing, no, can I just information seeking meeting and hear what everybody's concerns are.
You live on stay up about change. You go, so I gotta go downtown. Cars, bikes and I take my bike down to Sadie's, you go to the liquor store, turn around and call.
That,
Stop.
I mean, that all has to be decided, but, I think basically it's to help businesses in town, people get off trails and back on, and also it should lower the speed of people driving on those streets, because they're not breaking the law, then they don't want to get caught, of course, but, so I mean, if we're able to slow that traffic down, it's probably safer. To answer your question about going shopping for groceries, I don't think that's what the bylaw is for, but that remains to be seen, I guess.
It just reminded me of one additional thing that I probably should have included in my presentation. One of the things that I think helped us the most with respect to gaining support for this with provincial government was the aspect of having regulated use versus unregulated use. And what we argued with the provincial bureaucrats is that if you have a regulated environment where people know what the rules are, it's a much safer, more responsible way to approach things than an unregulated environment. So right now, it's illegal for ATVs to travel on these roads, but I can almost guarantee you, at some point in time, in the next 24 hours, you will find an ATV riding on this road. But if they're riding on the road in a regulated environment, they know the speed that they have to travel and the times they're allowed to ride and the locations they're allowed to ride, you're gonna have a safer, more responsible, opportunity. And the province agreed with that, and in the end, when they were making the final decision to move forward, they hired a consultant to do a study on the impact of the 7 sites that were chosen. The consultant took nearly a year to do a study and provided back a couple of significant recommendations to government. One was that there was no appreciable degradation of the road infrastructure as a result of the 7 pilot locations. The second one was that it is a safer, better environment for riders, both ATV riders and the existing road traffic, with a regulated system rather than an unregulated system. So we really think that having regulated road use is actually a better approach than doing nothing at all.
The time element again, I think you mentioned the previous presentation of which ATVs are allowed on these roads.
So it was like the study length or 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after. Basically, daylight hours, 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after. So they give you enough time if you're somewhere out in the woods hunting you got 30 minutes to get that deer back to your location, and the same way with the morning time as well. So it's not 24-hour day job, it's only during daylight hours, 30 minutes prior, 30 minutes after. Except when there's an eclipse.
Wear your glasses.
When ATV comes into the town, where, like, how do they find information on what streets are available for them to access?
It's a good question. In the case of the province, there's sign, so there would be a sign saying, showing a legal ATV use and then a sign ending it. So, it's a little bit of work for us and for municipalities, but in areas where we've had the pilot programs and in the town yards, it's not been a problem,
It's just well signed.
just sign.
And is it added to the trail maps?
Yes, we do, yeah, and we actually add to the trail mark maps and we do a sign off the trail and on the road. Because it's equally important to have a sign on the trail that would say road trail this way, as it is on the road showing other motorists where the road trail is.
Would that be added to the Flex Ride Command and all use that? Where would they get this map?
So Polaris Ride Command, all the information on that is information from us. We actually provide that to Polaris. We also provide it to Track Maps, we provide it to Can-Am app, and we provide it for our own paper maps as well. So all of that stuff is stuff that we provide to them and we update that on a quarterly basis.
Is there a home-based number that they can call to find out information about that too as well?
About which,
Morning drive and afternoon drive on the streets that are available. Is there a number that they can call?
no, we do have a website, www.atvans.org. And all of the road trail information is actually published on that website under the road trails section. And it's up to date 100% right now.
You're in the hot seat. So if there's no more further questions, I would like to thank everyone that helped to get this meeting together. Stan from the town hall and Linda, our CAO, put a lot of effort into this tonight, and we should appreciate that. And there'll be comments that you can send to us later, questions, and we will review it and go from there. Thank you everyone for coming tonight.